What?
Hi.
No. No. You did that backwards.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be 3, 2, 1.
He said 1, 2, 3.
Ah.
It's okay.
1, 2, 3, go. Hey.
1,
Welcome.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, go. That's how that one goes, if I remember correctly. With all the races I did in school, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, go. That's how it goes.
Well, then Jesse definitely botched it this night.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally not right.
I know. I was waiting for the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 part. He just like 1, 2, 3, go. I was like, whoa, hold on. Anyways, hi guys, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where apparently we learn to count. Thanks, Saigo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom. Boom is the boom number in the alphabet, and the numerical alphabet. Just to clarify,
boom. It's the boom.
Yeah, I was about to say 8th, and I'm like, that would be wrong because we've just changed it to boom, so it's the boom.
Boom, the fancy boom.
You guys ever been in boom place before?
Boom.
In a race? I'm gonna give you boom seconds.
Bless you, my child.
Right. Okay. So Jesse sneezed, by the way. He wasn't blessing me for no reason. Welcome everybody to Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where we talk about whatever issues, whatever thoughts, whatever concerns are on your mind, this week or last month, whenever. It doesn't really matter. We've got with us, we got Joe, star of the show. I am your host. In the background, working for us, making things run smoothly, is Jesse and Princess, our chat room hostess, as well as Senna, who is helping us as well. I'm going to say as well twice or maybe 4 times now. Doesn't matter.
As well.
Reminds me of this streamer named Loco. Loco always says as well to like everything, but he's amazing anyways.
Good.
Anyways, so yeah, how you guys doing in there? Yeah, Princess knows Loco. He's awesome. He's one of my favorites. My favorite streamers. Nice. You're looking sharp, Joe.
Thank you. I'm fixing my zipper.
Looking good, Joe.
Thanks.
Let me fix my button.
Fix it. Oh, too far. That's too far.
Yeah, hold on.
That too. Not.
Oh, hold on. It's a little loose. I gotta.
Oh, you're super. You're getting close.
You're
getting there.
Strings right on the button.
Man, it won't be long in the private.
Come on,
chat.
Could you just stay this way?
At us.
All right.
It's gonna be great.
Come on.
I'll
just hold my finger here the whole time to make.
There you go. You're gonna.
That's really all I can do at this point.
You're gonna have to.
Thank you for coming to Don't Worry Wednesday, and we hope that you have a good time, guys. So yeah, how you doing, Joe? You having a good day?
Yeah, man.
People in the chat seems to be having a good day. Great. I am just dandy, says Kendra. Little miss, doing good. Been very productive today. Really, that's awesome to hear.
Hey,
I still gotta finish the science presentation, so I've got to go AFK sometimes. It's cool. I'm glad you're being productive.
Bless you, my child.
My button's in the wrong place now. Bless you, my child. Yes, Joe. Okay, all right, that's fine. I mean, I like the line. It's perfect. And
nobody hears the sneezing in the background.
I'm pretty sure that it was Jesse's wife in the background sneezing. No one can hear it except for me and Joe, and he's like, bless you, my child. And I'm just like,
and she can't hear it either.
Who are you talking to? And she can't hear it because Jesse's got headphones on.
Right.
Sorry for the ASMR.
Oh my gosh.
So anyways, first topic addressed when my tummy hurts. Cherry, what'd you do? Did you eat like raw onion or something?
That would do it.
Jewel sounds cool. I might adjust it for an RPG character. Oh, copyright. Yeah, you have to be careful of copyrights, man.
Watch
all right.
The copyrights.
So what do you say we get into this, huh?
We should. We should. Did you give all the
Awesome.
disclaimers?
Okay, disclaimer, guys.
Legal is gonna be jumping
We're
all
about to
over
give
you.
you some thoughts, perspectives, and advice as a friend often would in your life. Don't be afraid to post or share anything. You know, we aren't going to judge you no matter whatever walk of life you're on, because we've been through a lot ourselves. We've done a lot of stupid things and learned from them. And we know, you know, everybody in this chat is amazing. So fear not. Everyone's pretty respectful and amazing and kind and has a good heart. And Joe has a stern face. We are not professionals when it comes to psychology, psychiatry, psychonesis, psionics, and
Might be good at psychosis.
Serenity. Psychosis. Yeah, okay, Joe, it's fine. I said Serenity. It's okay. And so, dude, you know better than I that you're not a professional at Serenity, all right?
Totally not.
It's good. I'm sorry, that's kind of like an inside joke. Anyways, so yeah. But we're here to help you guys and just basically kind of try to wash your worries away. There's all sorts of different things in life. I wish I could go back in time and do things differently. I wish I could go back in time and talk to myself and be like, hey, chipper up. It's going to be okay. Let me show you like 20 minutes into the future when all of this clears up. You know,
20 minutes.
Yeah, okay, maybe
Check out
not
20 minutes from now. If you think that's good, wait till 20 and a half minutes.
Oh man, that's gonna be awesome. Anyways, yeah, it's really nice to have someone who's had a little bit of experience in different parts of different lives. You know, some of you might even be older than us and wiser than us, or younger and wiser than us too. You know, but we're here to do our best to give you our best from whatever experiences we've gone through in our lives. So yeah, without further ado, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. I'm going to read through a list of people that we have on the backlog. If you are here, please drop a ibidabop in the chat.
Ibidabop.
Ibidabop. It's not that hard this time,
Ibidabop.
but it's got to be followed by 17 exclamation marks or I will look past it.
17, exactly.
And if it counts 16 or 18, that's on you. I will be so upset at you. Yep. Anyways, we got Sumner Kagan, John Doe, Man Left Behind, Eric Bodine, Caffrey, Rain Knight, Akil, Little Miss, Swilk, Royal / Saigo, and what's up with your mama that Cherry? Nice name, Cherry.
Hey, I think they might have done the right number of exclamation points. They look pretty similar.
I'm gonna have to go to my accounting department for that one. Get Joe in here, count that up for me. Is it
yes,
16?
Where is Joe? A bit of bop.
Bibbidi
What
bop.
snack should I eat? Doritos. Tef, eat Doritos. If you have
that was yeah, that's a good one. I like Doritos.
I answered that one real quick.
Yeah. Wait, how do you spell that? Bibbidi bop. That was pretty close. I mean, I guess everyone's got a different spelling of it. Little Miss has an ebibibop. Tef got a bibidibop. And yeah, I think that the range on this is quite wide. I'm forgiving on the spelling. I'm just not forgiving on the amount of exclamation points.
Exclamations.
Exclamations are very important. So anyways, it looks like we've got with us, the first one we might be doing here is Little Miss. Actually, Akil is here. Akil's here actually as well. Akil will be first then.
It's
all right. So we're gonna do one from Akil. It's titled Hate.
Ooh,
we've got two. We've got actually 3 from Akil, which is awesome. I'm really happy about this.
So we got to do one, Akil.
So we got to do one. We've got Hate. We've got Sow for the Reap, and we've got Reminder. But I think we're just gonna go from the start. Akil is not here. Oh, snap! My bad, Akil. I didn't notice that you weren't here. All right, Akil. Yeah, we're gonna do this one called Hate. I think. Yeah. Is this it? Did I
Did
get
you
it?
just
Yep.
delete
Okay.
the link?
I didn't. I promise. Oh no. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Princess has it under control. All we got to do is
Princess.
use the link that's given. So
Yes,
this is the topic
that one.
called hate. Oh, you got it first. All right, then I won't. You know what? I'm
Put
gonna
it
post
in
it
there,
anyways because I
man.
copied it.
Look at
Okay.
that. Oh, and then you come in.
Yep.
Quick second.
It's quick. I
Man,
know
oh,
you.
man.
You're
Something's going
way
on in our
before me.
spreadsheet. I don't know what's going on in there.
Yeah, I think just probably look past it and it will fix itself. Since other people are managing it.
Links are messed up.
Princess says the links got messed up. Give me a moment. All fine.
Oh no.
While Princess fixes our links behind the scenes, we will share with you guys what this topic is about.
Mhm.
All right. It's a little bit about self-loathing and stuff like that. So it is titled Hate, and it reads as follows. You ready for this, Joe?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm reading along as you read. I'm going to.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Languages,
good.
a foundation of culture for humanity, rather fitting to find a coincidence within the words I'm looking for in Japanese. Niku is a Japanese word for meat. Nikui, on the other hand, often used to express hatred or to say something is difficult to handle. Very fitting, because the very hatred I have is down to the flesh of my body. Hatred also made it difficult to accept. This hatred of mine towards myself is quite the enemy. I'd like to be accepting. I'd like to have love, but this is hypocrisy when I can't even acknowledge myself. Every single day I wake up, and thank God for another day, but every single day will point out multiple flaws in myself. Hooray! I'm looking, my sight shortened both physically and mentally, but I'm looking. I've bit my tongue too many times, joking about being narcissistic. It wasn't to reassure myself, though. It was just some sassy entertainment for those looking, but I'm pessimistic. I hate my incapabilities, so I'm moving forward with honing new skills in mind. I hate my looks, so I will move in hope to look fine. I hate how hateful I can be and become judgmental because of it. I want to say I love my extended family, but man, it's a game of judging with them. I hate how they are right and how hypocritical they are. But who am I, right? Just a nephew studying locally and struggling even at his age. I want to say that I can forgive, but the hatred in my flesh did not forget. I became biased. I became mean. Why are they looking at me? I can't even look at myself for long. I hate this person in the mirror, so I hope he lived long. I hope he suffers a lot and learns. Because I hate me right now, and he hated me too. I hated a lot of things because they happen to be a part of me. I hate liars because I am one. I hate idiots because I am one. I hate sadists because I want to. Nice. Because I want to. I hate Akil Makashim. I hope I pronounced that right. Mukashim? Mukashim. I'm sorry, I butchered all 4 times I said it. All right. Because he didn't grow. I keep getting a rewind, but I failed all the time. I need to keep going, but I feel worthless sometimes. My mind can't get clear, emotions taking over. I am simply overwhelmed by myself. I've thrown up and had to put my hand on the wall just to support me showering. I'm collapsing as a person, and literally at this point, I just wanted to live. And that is from Akil, who I would love to understand. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Akil Mukashim.
I believe it's Mukashim.
Mukashim? You think the accent's on the A? Mukashim? Or in the last letter, Mukashim?
Mukashim.
Or Mukashim? I doubt that last one. Anyways, Um,
Mukarshim.
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 Mukarshim. Okay, Mukarshim.
Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, thank you for sharing with us your hate for yourself and for other people, and what you see in them that you see in yourself that you don't like. I remember this is going to be relatable. It sounds really silly, but everyone does this. One time my dad, I was talking to him, and I was talking to my uncle before as well. My uncle, or sorry, my dad hates my uncle. Now, these are not related people at all. Okay. My uncle's from my mom's side. My dad is from my dad's side. Duh.
Wow.
Now, they don't hate each other anymore, I don't think. They don't really know each other. They don't talk or anything. So, but I remember my dad saying he doesn't like my uncle because he smokes, because he's like an alcoholic. And I'm like, Dad, that's you? Like, you smoke. You're an alcoholic. My uncle doesn't like my dad because my dad smokes and is an alcoholic. And I'm like, that's you? You smoke? And you're an alcoholic? What is going on?
Like,
my dad doesn't like my uncle because my uncle abandoned his children. My uncle doesn't like my dad because my dad abandoned his children. And I'm like, guys, okay. But it's true. We hate what we see in others when we know it's not right for ourselves. And because, and there's no bigger hate than we have for ourselves sometimes. Like, the amount that we can hate ourselves is endless because we know better, and yet we still fail, right? We're the ones that's supposed to be in control here, and then we're failing, so we only have ourselves to blame. It becomes very hard to forgive. So yeah, I think everyone can relate with this topic, Akil. And I remember looking in the mirror and going like, man, I hate that guy. And he hates me too. At various points in my life. So with that, I'm going to do the best thing I can for you. And that is give it over to Joe. For him to tell you what's what.
I don't know if that's the best thing for him.
It is.
But we'll give it a shot anyway.
Dude, you're like his dad. He loves you.
You know what? And I will have to say, Akil, I did see a picture of you one time. That you sent me on Discord.
I'm not kidding. I've seen it too, and he's attractive.
Good looking fella. And at the time, he had shaved his head.
Yeah. Bald.
I was like, even better, man. Like that. Ooh.
Yeah. He's a good looking guy. I remember looking, I'm like, oh, he looks pretty good. Like, I totally didn't imagine that he would look like that. And he looks
sharp
good.
Sharp guy.
Yeah, looking really sharp. Yep. Yeah.
Unless you sent me a picture of somebody else that had a shaved head.
Yeah, that's true. If you did that,
that's a sharp looking guy.
Whoever it was, sharp looking.
But either way, but that's just one of the many things on your litany here. So I honestly, Akil, I can feel your pain. I maybe not in the same dimensions as you are in all of these different areas, but I still struggle with that self-hatred, and especially of the one about my incapabilities, especially about, like even when I set objectives for myself and I'm like, I'm going to do this, and then I don't do it, I don't follow through, for whatever reason, sometimes it's not my fault that I can't get to certain things that I wanted to get to. But sometimes it is, sometimes I feel like I sleep too long. You guys know I sleep too much. But fancy, thank you. Bald guys get bonus points and good looks.
I am shaving my head. Just for a little miss. No. I wouldn't do it. I'm not brave enough for that.
You could do it, man. I'll help you. I got experience.
Oh, good. On who? Just kidding.
Honestly, I've only shaved my own head. I've never
I
shaved
know.
anything. Is that? But you know how long it would take you to grow your hair back to where it is today?
About 2 minutes.
It'd be a long time.
Yeah, it would be.
2.5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, maybe 2.5. Yeah, no, it would take a long while.
Yes, but at any rate, you're right. When we have self-hatred, when we look at ourselves and we see junk, or we see, just a pile of dirt that can't seem to get anything right, or for whatever reason, that's a tough place to be. I had I was at a moment of, hey, you ever had this conversation with yourself where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I gotta, I gotta accomplish this, I want to accomplish that, and this is why, and you're kind of going through that list of everything, and then all of a sudden this little voice comes in your head. It's like, why don't you just get real with yourself? Are you really acting like you want that? And you have this moment of contention with yourself where it's like, oh, really? And I'm like, darn it, it's like, but those words stick in my head because that was one thing I said to myself just yesterday as I was going through some of this stuff. It's just like, why don't you just get real with yourself? And it was really rude like that too. Like I speak really rude to myself. But at any rate, what that did for me, when I had that moment, it was like, okay, I have a choice. I've gone down different paths when I'm faced with this choice, where it's like I have that moment where I look at myself and I look at all my faults, and I'm like, this is kind of like a moment of decision here. I can either, go down the road of self-pity, and I've done that so many times, where I'm just like, okay, it's not going to happen. And I heard my son actually, I heard him saying these same words, like, where he's like, something wasn't happening. He's like, it's never going to happen. And I'm like, man, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I heard myself saying these things to myself. It's never going to happen. And I had to shake myself and be like, wait a second, you don't know the future. What are you thinking? Like, you don't know. Like, you don't know what could happen tomorrow. Like, we had this whole, I was so stressed out. Like, a couple months ago, I was so stressed out because we had this Florida trip planned. My son does competitive Taekwondo, and there's this convention thing in Florida that happened. It was supposed to be 4 days ago down there. So I was supposed to be in Florida right now. And I was sitting there, I'm like, there is no way we're going to pay for that trip at all. Like, I don't know who I'm going to have to borrow a bunch of money from in order to make this happen. But like, stuff kind of dried up at work. I got ripped off from one of my clients. It's like, we did not have the money to take this trip. And, so a couple months ago, I'm like pulling my hair out, like my arm hair, because that's the hair that I had to pull out. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do to pay for this trip. And then all of a sudden, now we're all on lockdown. So we can't go to Florida. I'm like, whew.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I know they're going to reschedule it, but I have a little bit of time now to kind of build things back up again and, get things put in order. But things can change. Stuff can come out of nowhere. Like, I never would have thought a global pandemic would be the way I would get out of going on this Florida trip. Like, yeah, but that
would not ever credit. And if you did, it wouldn't have been this. It would have been like an earthquake happens and I can't go there, or there's a hurricane or something.
Right. I don't know. It was wild, but yeah. So things can change instantly, and these days is proof of that. You think of the, one thing I was talking with Ryan's brother Kyle about this actually. We were talking about we use a platform called Zoom for all of our conference calls and everything. And now all my kids are going to school. They're using Zoom. My martial arts class that we take, they're using Zoom. It seems like the whole world started using Zoom. Can you imagine the people who own Zoom right now? They went from a fairly successful company to all of a sudden saturating the market. Like everybody's
Yeah.
using Zoom right now. And they're like, I'm sure for them, it's kind of like, can we support this? Like, I don't know. Do we have enough like server ability to do this? You know, like everything, but it can change so fast with no warning. And I've lived through enough of those experiences to know that how things are right now are not necessarily how things are going to be even an hour from now. I used to work for a company, and the president of this company was famous for saying, you know what the best part of your current staff is? They don't have to be your current staff. That's the best part of it. Like, he was like, because he's sitting there, he's saying, just because I have this current staff right now doesn't mean that it has to be this way. If there's a problem going on, I can eliminate people. I can not like eliminate them, but like they can be fired, whatever, right? So maybe you've got a staff of people in your brain and they're talking to you a certain way. Maybe your current staff needs to change. Maybe there needs to be some different voices going on in your head. I have to do that all the time. I have to pattern interrupt myself all the time. In fact, sometimes I have to do it out loud. Like I will start going down a thought process and I'll know that it's wrong. I'll know that it's not, going to be productive and I'll just try to change my thought and sometimes that doesn't work and so then I'll get physical about it and I'll shake my head, you know? And sometimes that doesn't even work. And then sometimes I just stop it. Like I have to say it out loud, like stop. That's ridiculous. Because you don't know, like, and this is stuff I have to say to myself. I'm like, you don't know how it's going to be in the future. You don't know what it's going to be like. You don't know. You might try all this stuff. You might build and work your butt off and do all kinds of stuff, and you might fall flat on your face and not have any success whatsoever. But you know what? In that, you're going to have the experience. You're going to have the experience of trying hard. You're going to have the experience of setting goals. You're going to have the experience of doing a whole bunch of, trying things. And you're going to have the experience of failure, which is just another opportunity to pick yourself up and try again, which is a beautiful thing. That builds resilience. So, with all that said, I think the thing that I really wanted to get at with you in this topic, Akil, is that you are a valuable person, like all of us, like everyone in this chat, Ryan, Jesse, Princess Senna, everybody that's working, all the BSS staff, everybody, every single one of us have a level of dignity that's infinite. And I know I've said it before on here, but there's never been anyone like you before. There never will be anyone like you again. You are a 1 in 10 million chance of happening. And depending on where you live in the world, the fact that you've made it this far in life, is an anomaly too. A lot of places in the world, people die early. They don't make it. And here you are. You've made it this far. So now, with all that, the question is, what will you do with it? That's not always an easy question to answer. And sometimes it takes some time to kind of get our mind right and wrapped around the nice things again. But I would encourage you to think of things that you're thankful for. In these moments where I start beating myself up, and I start, going down this path of self-hatred, as soon as I can think of something that I'm thankful for, it doesn't cure it, but it interrupts the pattern. I have a pattern of self-hatred, and then all of a sudden there's like this bright, shiny spot of Thanksgiving in there. And it's like, whoa, it doesn't fix the problem right away, but it does interrupt the thought pattern. And sometimes I keep going down that path, but then I try and think of something else, and I think of, something else I'm thankful for, and it's another interruption. So I think the question is, while you're doing this, you are so good at expressing emotion, which tells me you have a very powerful mind and a very powerful heart. And if you can use that power to notice when you're going down a path in your thoughts that is not productive, how quickly can you interrupt it? Just throw an interruption in there. Throw something happy. Throw something thankful. Thankful is one of the best, because that throws a huge monkey wrench into the whole deal, at least in my experience. But I've talked for a while. I'm going to turn over to Ryan, and he might have something nicer to say. I feel like I was kind of mean throughout that whole thing, so I
No,
apologize.
I don't think so. I appreciate it, Joe. I'm glad that you went first. And I mean, as you say, you're kind of mean, but I don't know. I don't think so. Akil said this topic was kind of written in my bitter state. Consider it a very harsh prep talk.
A pep talk.
Pep talk, yeah. Consider it a very harsh pep talk. And yeah, I mean, we all have to do that sometimes. I mean, there are
Like
multiple times.
that moment I said, get real with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mean thing to say, but it can wake you up.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I like to go by, one thing I like to say is that where's your self-respect? I think it's important to realize that we're important and we have dignity, just like Joe was saying. We ought be considering ourselves like kings and queens, princes and princesses, so that when we look at ourselves and we see something that is undignified within ourselves, we can react appropriately to it and say, whoa, where's my self-respect? Where's my respect? I need to treat this situation better. It's like when I wake up in the morning, I make my bed, not because anyone's going to be looking at it. No one looks at my bed except for me, but I don't care if it's messy or if it's clean. But if I, I deserve to have a cleanly made bed in that sense. Like, to say deserve means rather that I have the dignity of having a clean bed, right? A well-made bed. And I should be the one to make it. And it's kind of like that for everything, right? We have to treat ourselves with respect. Now, what you're looking at here, I mean, that's what you're talking about. How, sometimes we have to be harsh with ourselves, right? You're talking about hate. And I like that, because hate isn't evil. Hating something, right? We say hate the action, not the person, right? You've heard that line before, right, Akil? Don't hate the person, hate the action.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important to do with ourselves. It's not right to hate. Why? Because to love someone is to desire the best for them. But to hate someone is the opposite. So it means to hate someone is to desire the worst for them. That is not a good idea. That is not helpful to anyone. Because if you desire the worst for someone, that's them continuing down the path that led you to hate them. Right? Like, if someone is a jerk and you're like, man, I hate that guy because he's a jerk. And you're like, man, I really wish the worst for him. Well, the worst thing for him to do is to continue being a jerk and becoming more of a jerk. Because that's not helpful for him. That's not helpful to the people around him.
Mm.
But if you love them, right, instead you look at them and you say, wow, this guy's a jerk, but I love them. I want the best for them. What's the best thing? For them to stop being a jerk, right? So you can hate the action and say, man, I wish the worst thing for that action, which is to disappear and to be replaced by something better. So when we look at ourselves and we see these bad things, right? Like where maybe we're liars, maybe we're hypocrites of something, right? We can look at ourselves and we look at other people as well with that problem and say, I hate that problem. I wish it would go away. I wish it would be replaced by the opposite. Always, honesty, open honesty, being transparent with the world and being just clear, and sincere and genuine, right? I wish that for myself. Out of hate can rise what is good if you are using hate in the right way, right? Not hating people, but hating the action. And so we have to extend ourselves to that same sort of thinking. When I see something in me that I don't like, I cannot say, I hate myself because I do this. Why? Because that's wanting the worst for me because I did something that I didn't like that I did. That's not helping. That's like just literally being, man, I hate the way this poison tastes. I'm going to drink more of it. That doesn't make sense. Instead, we hate the action and we say, man, I hate that I lie. I'm going to counteract that with this new emotion, right? This charged energy, this fire within me that has spawned out of my hate. And I'm going to use that fire and a focus fire, this problem and get better at it. Remove lying as an aspect or as an option. I'm no longer taking that option. That option is not an option. I will always tell the truth, no matter how terrible of a situation it puts me in, no matter how terrible of a situation it puts someone else in. Granted, remember that there's like this things like a criminal is chasing a friend. A criminal is chasing your friend, and they say, which way did your friend go? And they've got a gun. Do you lie and tell him the wrong way, or do you tell him the truth? Guys, in that scenario, you look after your friend and you don't lie. You just say, I'm not going to tell you. Shoot me if you will. I'm not telling you where my friend went. You have a loaded gun. I'm not an idiot. And I'm also not going to betray my friend, right? That's the appropriate answer to that. It's not, oh, I'll tell him he went that way, even though he didn't. Why? Because you don't need to. And it makes you a liar. Instead, just be honest and be like, I'm not going to tell you where he went, period. And that's so just as a side note, I'm putting that out there because people are like, well, how could you choose not to lie? How could you tell the truth when it hurts somebody else? Well, you don't have to hurt somebody else when you tell the truth. And sometimes it's important to tell the truth when it hurts somebody because that's what moves them forward. We also often get in our heads that to hurt someone is evil, but it's not necessarily always the truth because love can hurt. And to desire the best for someone is holy. To hate someone is evil. But to hate an action, to hate something that is evil, is actually holy. So don't hate the person, hate the action. And then apply that to yourself, right? I hate that I do this. I need to stop, right? That's a good mentality. There's nothing wrong with that. Even if you say that and you fail, and you say it and you fail, and you say it and you fail, and you say it and you fail. Eventually, over time, you'll notice days where you don't fail. And eventually, over time, you'll have the mental fortitude, the physical strength, and so on to remove that stain from yourself, remove that thing that you hate and stop doing it, right? It's just a matter of time and effort. And it's not easy because a lot of these things are habits. They're ingrained into us, whether by society or just we've chosen to do it for so long. So don't hate yourself. That's just like, dude, it happens to everybody. It's okay. You're human and you were made human. So you're just made this way, right? But you're also made human. And humans have the ability to improve. You see, Akil, I don't know what your stance is on angels and demons. I know that you're a descendant from Judaism, and they have angels and demons, and so in your religion, you're not Judaish, but Judaish, but they have angels and demons. So I suspect that in your religion, you have angels and demons.
Just read the book of Joe.
Read the book of Joe. Angels exist. No, demons exist. It's in the book of Joe. Yeah. All right. So here's the thing. Angels, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last stream. Angels are born, right? They're not, well, they are created. They aren't born necessarily the same way that we are. But, okay, beings of light, faithful to God. Right. So angels and demons, they come into existence and they make a choice. They cannot improve or change. They are not fluid because they don't have time. But humans do have time. Humans are made to be able to make choices over and over and over. That's amazing. And we get to choose to improve. We get to choose to have talents and develop them. We have things we don't choose. We're just made this way. You know, some of us are made with certain defects. Some of us are made with things that are like, wow, that's really cool. I wish I had that, you know? And that's all the part about being human. That's all part of just being who you are, right? But as you are who you are, you get to make tons of choices and they all develop you, whether it be for the good or for the bad. All you can do is just try to do your best to make the ones or take the choices that make you good, right? That's who you are. You're a human. And so it's okay. It's okay if you're not perfect. Why? Because you weren't made to be perfect. You were made to be good, right? When God created the world, he created the light and called it good. He said that it was good. He created the animals of the field and he said, oh yeah, this is good. This is good. And you were born with the animals. You were made with the animals as human, and you were not made perfect. You were made good. And you can be a source of good in the world, right? So if you hate yourself, you'll find you're not being too much of a source of good. Why? Because if you hate yourself, you want the worst for yourself, which means you're canceling out the good and you're becoming more and more evil. Right? Hating yourself is evil, and doing it makes you more and more evil the more you do it. So take that and just be like, no, I don't want to be a part of that. You know, I talked about demons. Demons, right, according to the book of Joe, exist. They're real.
They're real.
I point this way because Joe's over here on my screen. Joe, down there for you guys. Demons, the way that they operate is they put things in your mind. They take that hate and they light it on fire for the wrong things. A lot of times when you're just like, you know, Joe was just talking about this. He's like, you know, all of a sudden he says something really cruel to himself. You can take that cruel remark and run with it and beat yourself up. Or you can take that cruel remark and go, oh, I see what this is. I'm going to do just the opposite. Ha. I'll show you. And you'll show yourself. And you'll be like, man, I'm awesome. I can't believe I did that. It rocks. You know, I rock. You rock, Akil. But you know, we all can be mean to ourselves. But it isn't worth it to hate ourselves, right? We know this. Akil, you know everything I just said. You already know all this, right? I know you do. You're smart. You've thought about all this stuff before. I'm not telling you anything new. But I can encourage you and put it into your mind over and over and over again that you're amazing. And you know what to do. And it's not too late to keep on doing it. It's not too late to change. Remember, you are human, a being of constant change. Everything in life is changing. We are always changing. That's part of being human. It's incredible because people think that change is hard. That's a lie. I'm gonna blow all of your minds right now. Okay? The people say that changing is difficult. Joe knows this line. People say that change is difficult, but it's not, because we're changing all the time. We just get to pick which way we change every step of the way.
Mhm.
I wrote a song that has that in there. I never released it, but it's the truth. We are always changing, and we pick which way we change every step of the way. Change is not hard. You're doing it either way. Okay? If you get the idea that changing ourselves is hard, it becomes hard. It's like a placebo. And you're like, man, I can't fix myself because it's so hard. And then you make it hard for yourself. Stop eating the placebos, man. No, you're changing regardless because you exist on a timeline. And you can't stop changing because time doesn't stop. You just pick which way you're changing. Are you changing for the better or are you changing for the worse? Every time you're presented with that, like, oh man, I shouldn't do this, just don't. And guess what? When you don't, you start changing in that direction.
Mhm.
I know it can be hard because you're like, it's hard not to say no, but you just choose it. And then you realize, oh, I did it. The difficulty's gone because I picked something and I stuck with it. And now it's gone. Now that time is over. And now I'm on to this whole new thing because that opportunity is gone because time just continued.
Mhm.
And now I can't do that thing anymore. That was bad. I don't really want to do anyways. So cool. All right, let's keep on going. So don't give yourself the illusion that you can't change, that you can't overcome these issues that make you hate yourself. Because you can. You're meant to. You're supposed to. And you are 100% capable. Because you're human. And there's nothing better than that. There's no better place you could be. There's no better type of creature you can be. For you, you were meant to be this way. And you were meant to get over these struggles. Because my, does that glorify. It glorifies God and it glorifies you and it glorifies the entirety of the human race and what we are capable of. When you accomplish something you think is entirely internal, nobody else knows that you lied, just you. Or whatever it is. Maybe it's not lies, but nobody else experiences the hate that you have. Only you do, because it's only on yourself. But it's still true that when you accomplish that, not only does it glorify humanity and glorify yourself and glorify the God that created you, but it also changes who you are and the way you interact with other people. And it starts to affect them too. It starts to change them in ways that you didn't expect because you didn't expect your change would be that visual or visible. But it's visible. It's visible to the world. See, a lot of times people live in this normal state where it's like, it's normal for everybody to hate themselves because I hate myself and I wouldn't know any different. So, because most people do. And then you encounter somebody who doesn't hate themselves and just like the whole world's different for them. And the whole world's different for everybody around them. And it's like, this is weird. What's up with this person? They basically just like decided not to walk that direction, to be in that path, be on that path. And it's amazing. And everybody is capable of that. So I don't know. Hopefully that helps. So Joe, did you have anything else you want to finish that off with? I'm sure
Yeah,
you do. Keel's been
there's
posting in the chat, which is awesome.
yeah. I love this last thing you posted, Akil. It says time doesn't stop. You can't go back in time, but the present is where you prepare for the future. And I like that. Because it's so true. And one of the things that I've been doing lately, and it's kind of dangerous, because I remind myself, like, as I'm getting toward the end of the day, I have a tendency to look back past. I look back over the day, and I'm like, okay, where did I do anything good? Did I do anything bad? What happened today? And I look back over my day. I'm like, okay. And most of the time, it's depressing because I always, point out, excuse me, all the things that I didn't get done. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, but you know what? When I look to the next day, and I'm like, you know what? When I wake up tomorrow, I have another shot. I have another chance. Like, the slate is wiped clean. I get a new chance. Like, everything that's happened up to this point, it's happened. Big deal. I get a new chance of being who I want to be tomorrow. And when I start to think that way, I have a hard time going to sleep, because I start to get excited and wound up, and I'm like, okay,
I've done that to myself multiple.
Yeah. You know what I'm
Even
talking
just
about?
recently.
Yeah. Where it's like, oh my gosh, I get another shot tomorrow. I get another chance. And it's like, oh, and I, we'll see what happens tomorrow. And it can be really exciting. So it can be hard to fall asleep then. So you got to be careful. But if you can remind yourself in the morning, excuse me, that this is the situation. Everything that's happened up until this point, that's the past. And when you're going through, when you look through all the things that you talked about in your post, everything here is based on past performance of you, past performance of those around you, past performance of the world itself around you, everything. It's basically, you're looking at a scorecard of how everyone has acted up to this point. But from your point of view right now, at any given moment, you can switch it. Like Ryan was saying, it's a simple choice. Now, simple does not mean easy. There's a difference. Just because something is simple doesn't mean it's easy to do. Okay? It is a simple choice. It's either yes or no. It's on or off. It's 0 or 1. If you want to speak binary, right?
You're welcome, Jesse. I knew he didn't get it until you said that. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, go ahead.
But you can make that choice at any given moment, and you can be like, "Oh, I'm switching it right now." You don't even have to wait till the morning. You can do it now. But a lot of times in the morning, it's like, there's something about morning for me. I've become a morning person, which is disgusting. I used to hate mornings so much, and now I look forward to mornings, and mainly because there's this newness about the whole thing. It's like, I get a fresh start today. I can be somebody new, and it's awesome. And so you can always, your past performance and everybody's past performance, everything that's happened up to now does not mean that the future is going to be the same. But anyway, that's all I had.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. There was one thing I forgot to say, and that is, actually, I think I've forgotten again. Along the lines of, you know what? It's not coming to me. That's okay. But yeah, thanks, Joe. I mean, you're so right. So, Akil, we wish you the very best. We are so happy that you're here and you're sharing these posts with us. I know you're getting better at this. I just know you are. Yeah, just like you said, you're kind of making this post to talk to yourself, and be like, like, stop it, dude. You know better than this. I mean, I think that's great. And it's really cool that you give us a chance to talk about this here, because this is something, like I said, so many of us can relate to. We all do things that we hate, and we're trying to get better at. But it's important to stay encouraged with ourselves and really talk about this topic. So I appreciate this, Akil. You're amazing.
Yes, you are.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, even talking about that, I didn't remember exactly what it was I was going to say. The thing I forgot to say, but that's all right. All is well. So, yep, we love you, and hopefully you can stick around. We're about to jump to a next topic. We got quite a few people here, so I'm gonna go ahead and read through the list again. And again, if you're here, just drop a
bibbidi-bop
in the chat if you can. So we've got Sumner Kagan, John Doe, Man Left Behind, Eric Bodine, Caffrey, Rain Knight, Little Mist, Swilk, Royal, Saigo, What's Up You Mama That Cherry, and Snowlock. 10010001.
Don't you know?
I think 0110101 is the letter for L, and 10010110 is a letter for P, something like that. I could be wrong.
I just posted a song lyric.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
1000110101.
Wow. It's country, isn't it?
No.
No,
it's not.
It's not.
Periodic table with a centerpiece of mind. Anybody who can figure out, anybody who knows that band, actually, you guys are all going to Google it. Name that band. The mystery question.
All right.
In the meantime, Little Miss is here.
Yes, Little Miss. Awesome. Little Miss. Hey, how's it going? It's nice to see you. It's always nice to see you here in the chat. You are a shining, radiant beam of light, and we adore you here. So thank you for blessing us with your presence.
Absolutely.
This is titled, Trying to Help People When You Also Don't Know Anything. And it's about guilt and not knowing how to help. So here we go. It reads as follows. Hello, it's been a while since I made a topic, but this is something that's been bothering me for a while. Literally is not even in there. I really want to help others, but I'm extremely underexperienced in a lot of things. Ever since I was little, I've always wanted to help others, however I could, and I'm constantly helping people every day. I feel like it's a necessity almost, that I should be doing something, anything, to help people who aren't feeling okay. And that sometimes leads me to bite off more than I can chew. You see, I'm not a very intelligent person. I'm not a very wise person, or have much experience in life. So of course, there's going to be things that I barely know about, but I still feel horrible when I can't do anything. Almost every time we go through a topic on Don't Worry Wednesday or Double Cup of Joe, I always try to say something. I try to give my opinion, and I try to help, even if it's just some words of encouragement. But there are times when I don't know what to say. Then I just sit there with a thought, and I wish time would stop to let me think. But by the time I have a grasp of an idea, we're moving on to the next topic. There are also times when I do say something, but instantly regret it after, because I'm just so inexperienced with the topic. I feel like my opinion shouldn't count as something people should care about. Normally, when I do slip up like this, I apologize that I couldn't say anything. I couldn't do anything. I know I'm not obligated to give an opinion on people's topics, and I don't need to always have the answer. but I still feel like I should try. But should I? Even though I don't know much, even if what I say won't do much anyways, should I be worried about people? Thank you so much for sharing this topic, Little Miss. And of course, you know that Senna has posted a response to this topic, and so has Wandering Soul. She actually put this topic as solved, which is awesome, but she allowed us to do it anyways. So we are going to do it. Thank you, Little Miss, for this opportunity to talk about this, because it's a great topic. And I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah.
So,
me too.
Like I said, we appreciate you. This is seriously, your heart is amazing. The fact that you want to help is so important. I mean, even if you don't know how to help, sometimes just being there and trying does a lot. Does a lot more than you know. Sometimes trying to help can hurt people too. If they're sensitive, if they're sensitive to pride and so on. So sometimes we have to figure out when is the appropriate time to try to help. When is it appropriate to dismiss it? So these are things that are important too. There's always something we can do, but sometimes that something is to let it be and be patient with the person. So with all that said, giving time to Joe to process and think and figure out what he wants to talk about.
And I'm looking for a quote right now, actually.
Oh, perfect. I am slowly going to give it to Joe. So take it away, Joe, and have fun with it.
No, actually, I have to agree with what Ryan said. Your heart comes through in everything you say. So even though, like, if you say something and you might think to yourself, who am I to say something? Who am I to say something? I don't know about this topic that much. I'm not going to sound smart. I'm going to say something. It's going to be completely wrong, whatever. And so you might say that to yourself. Because of where your heart is, that shines more brightly than anything like about the technicalities of what you're saying, because who you are shines through in your words, and it's quite a beautiful thing. So there's a couple thoughts I have to go with this, and that's really the main one right there, is that you've got that part. You've got this wonderful love in your heart that shines through in the chat, and it's absolutely wonderful. So you don't ever have to worry about what you might say if you're doing the right things right, and that you are doing, because you're keeping your heart in the right place. You're having a love for these people that you're interacting with. And when you start with that, you can say anything and botch it all up, and it's not going to matter. I used to do sales. I used to do, and when I was concerned about the sale, I would never really did all that good. When I was concerned about my commissions or, my numbers goals and all that kind of stuff, I never really did all that great as a salesperson. But when I focused on how much I wanted to help the person I was selling something to, genuinely, not how much I wanted to get them to buy this thing so I could make money and keep my job, but how I was going to make their life better with whatever I was able to help them with. When I had that going, I always did better. My numbers went up. Everything was better. I might have made 10,000 mistakes in what I said, but it didn't matter, because what was in my heart was coming through. And that's key. And I love that you posted this topic, because so many of us get so caught up in saying the right thing. I just want to make sure we do this the right way. And like, yeah, there's some of that. But more importantly, the first question always is, where's your heart? Because if your heart's in the right place, what you say can, you know, even if it's wrong, it's going to come across as loving, and they're going to give you grace, even though you might have said something wrong, unless they're a total jerk, and then their heart needs to be in the right place. But that's on them, not you. So here's this quote. This is a quote by Les Giblin. It's from How to Have Confidence and Power in Dealing with People. And it totally, like, when you were talking about your lack of confidence of saying something right or not, or wondering what to say or making sure you said the right thing, totally made me think of this quote from this book. And it goes like this: conversation does flourish and society is refreshing whenever people take the brakes off their hearts and let their tongues wag as automatically and irresponsibly as they will. And there's two components. To just say whatever is kind of like one of the things. It's like, don't be so worried about what you're saying. Just let your tongue wag. But I love that he put in there, take the brakes off your heart. Because what that implies is, take the brakes off, have a heart for other people. Love them. You do that already, Little Miss Fancy. So you can just totally, in this case, you're not talking with your tongue. You're not saying these things. You're typing. So you could say, let your fingers wag as irresponsibly and automatically as you will. Just type whatever, because what's in your heart is going to shine through. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so happy that, you show up to this show at night and the Double Cup of Joe show in the morning too. Like, you're there on both of them many times. So I appreciate you being around. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see you pop up. And anytime I see your name and your icon show up, your avatar, there's just this warmth that I feel because of that. It's lovely. So anyway, that's what I have to start with. Ryan, what do you got?
Sure. Yeah, I really appreciate that, Joe, because it's true. I mean, just like Akil said, the most important thing is your intentions. And I think that really speaks volumes. It really speaks about like what you're doing. Even if you don't have the right words, it's important. Your intentions drive you. Your intentions are the most important thing. Intentions are what God reads, not your actions entirely. Because the actions can be flawed, regardless of your intentions. So with that, yeah, I think that what you're doing is wonderful. There's some issues here I do want to speak about, not that you are running into them, but to tell you about them so you can avoid them. All right, little miss? There comes a point in a lot of people's lives where we become people pleasers and we do everything to please the people around us. And there's nothing wrong with pleasing people around us. We want them to be happy. That is a good thing. However, when we start to grade ourselves based on the pleased, the harmony, the peace, the pleasedness of other people, that becomes an issue. We never want to look at ourselves and be upset that we are unable to solve someone else's problem. Why? Because there's no reason you should be upset over something you have no control over. And you can't please everybody, right? You don't have that control. It's similar to, I do YouTube, right? I'm on YouTube, I post a video. Some people say really nice things and it makes me feel good. And then I'll see a mean comment, right? Like someone saying something that's just clearly intended to be mean. or make my work look bad or whatever, right? And it could hurt me. But here's the thing. This is interesting. If I go and I read all of the nice comments and I choose to judge myself, if I choose to look at those comments and go, oh, I am really good. That's who I am. I'm so good. Right? If I get pleasure out of reading the comments that say I'm a really good singer or writer or whatever, then what happens is I give other people the ability to control how I feel. I give up the authority over myself to other people's hands. And if I do that, that means they have control over how I feel. And some people, they don't care about how I feel. Some people, they're not thinking about me. They're thinking about themselves, right? So then when I read a bad comment, I let that decide how I feel about myself. And that one negative comment could make all the other good comments look like nothing. And it just, that one comment that's mean will just like drive me to the ground and push me down and make me hate myself, right? So the whole point of saying this, Little Miss, is that it's important not to go down that road. It's important to understand there is no reason to be dissatisfied when you can't solve somebody else's problem. If you are dissatisfied with yourself because you couldn't solve another person's problem, then you have to take a step back and say, that's not my responsibility, one, but also I can't let their problems drag me down, because that doesn't help anybody. That doesn't help me, and it doesn't help them. I have to be a rock for them. I have to be someone who can stand strong, who has strong, encouraging emotions, right? Regardless of what they're going through, so that they can lean on me. If me being unable to solve their problem, which happens all the time, right, to everybody, even psychologists that are supposed to be able to solve people's problems, they don't all the time. They have issues. If they let their patients determine how they feel, they're not going to be a very good psychologist, right? So don't ever let anybody else's problem determine how you feel about yourself, or how you feel about them, or how you feel about your inadequacies, because it's a process, right? Just like you said, you're inexperienced. That's normal. We're all inexperienced. I can give advice to you guys with the things I've had experience in, but even in those things, they might not be the way that you solve it. I could tell you, hey, this is how I would solve this problem. I would go, this. And then you go and do something completely different that solves it. Or you try what I suggested and it doesn't work, right? That can happen, right? The important thing is that we are trying, right? The important thing is that we are encouraging others by attempting to solve. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing that happens, Little Miss. People come here on the stream and I say, okay, here's some ways you can go about solving your problem, right? Most of the time, I can't guarantee it, but because I don't live their lives. I don't see every moment. Once you guys leave, I don't see what you guys do. Most of the time, after I suggest some things, I'm going to say, likely, no one takes any of my suggestions. All right? They don't. But the fact that we talked about solving it makes their mind go, okay, so maybe if I do this or try that, and then, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do this. And then they do something completely different than what I suggested. But because we talked about solving it, it gave them the inspiration to take action to start solving their problem. And it had nothing to do with what I suggested as a solution. Does that make sense? Do you get my point? It's really a lot like what Joe said. It's the intention of trying to help. It's showing the encouragement. It is showing that you care. It is getting their minds to start thinking about the problem in a different way that actually ends up usually solving the problem. It isn't the advice that you give. Most of the time, it's not. Because people don't listen to advice most of the time, anyways. You could be the smartest person in the world. You could know everything. You could have it all right. And then someone would come to you for advice, and you'd be like, yeah, it's like this. You do that, you're through. And they're like, oh, okay. I'm not going to do any of that. That sounds really good. Then why not? Why not do it? Nah, I'm my own person. Yeah, you go be yourself then. Go run off and do whatever and fail like 400 times before you figure it out. That's fine by me. People will do that to you all day long, Little Miss. It's not about how experienced or smart you are. Mm-hmm. It's mostly just about where your heart is. Because I assure you, I have tried to help people for pretty much most of my life on various issues. People would come to talk to me about all sorts of different stuff. I remember a girl came up to talk to me like, hey, I've got this relationship problem. I like this guy. What do you think I should do? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds really awesome. I think you're in a really good position here. You just got to like, maybe you should do that. Try that. And she's like, okay, I really like that. Yeah. And then she comes back a week later and I'm like, how did it go? And she's like, nah, I didn't try it. I'm like, why? Nah. Why didn't you try it?
I'm not going to do that.
I'm not going to do that. That sounds stupid. Like, wait, we talked about this. You said it sounded good. Okay, we'll do it again. Okay, this is what we're going to, like, just try this. And she's like, okay, yeah, no, you're right. I should do that. And then she's gone. And then I can see her next week. And I'm like, how did it go? And she's like, I did the opposite. It didn't work out at all. And I'm like, why did you do that? You disagreed with me that it was a good idea. Like, and you still didn't do it? No, it's just scary. It's way too scary.
Well, you've proven that the opposite doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm like yes, it's scary. That's why you didn't do it ever. And that's why it's not working, because you've never done it. Like, you can't make your car go if you don't press this gas pedal. If you're scared of the gas pedal and you don't hit the gas pedal, your car's not going to run. It's like the same thing. People don't listen. People don't listen. So it doesn't matter if you have the right advice or not, Little Miss. I'm not kidding. People don't listen. But giving them time, giving them the moment, giving them the feeling like, hey, you're important to me. And they are. They are important. Right? And showing that is one of the most valuable things you can do. I've talked about this many times, and maybe you've been here before when I talked about this or not, but I have tried so many different ways to help people out. Through depression, through relationship issues, whatever. Mm-hmm. What I found what helps the most is not giving advice. It's just walking the path with them. Mm-hmm. It's just being there. Mm-hmm. And being like, hey, let's go on an adventure. Let's do this thing you're afraid of, but I'll do it first. And then you can learn from me. It's about being with them, making a friend and being their friend, being on their side. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're doing, Little Miss. So don't be worried about whether you know all the right ways yet. You'll get there. But as long as you keep an open mind to learning how to go through life and become wise, I made wisdom in my life one of the most important things. So if you pay attention to wisdom, like as you go through life, just like recognize, okay, the foundation of wisdom is everything happens for a reason. And I'm just going to take that and take it to the next level and like look at everything that happens in my life and go, what's the reason for this? What can I gain out of this? What tidbits of wisdom can I gain out of this? Talking to a random person, it's not a problem, but they share a little bit of their life with me. And I'm like, that's really wise. That was really smart of them. I'm going to try to do the same thing, right? Stuff like that, that'll take you really far, okay? Mm-hmm. But unless you have the heart, none of that matters. Unless you got the heart, you've got the heart for it. So just keep on being you. Keep trying to help people. Because it goes a far way. It goes a long way. And sometimes it's not about giving the right advice. Sometimes it's about shutting up and listening, and just waiting and then figuring it out together, whether it be, talking about it or just moving forward with your lives, being their friend and being with them when they go through it. Or it's by being an example, showing that, hey, that is a really hard thing, but I'm going to do that thing in front of other people so they can witness that I'm strong enough. And that encourages them to realize they're strong enough too. I mean, one of the biggest ways I've helped people in my life is not by giving advice. It's about giving myself advice and taking it. And then when I do that, the people around me go, wow, I want to do that too. And they start, chasing after virtues and things like that. So, and I think you're already on that path. Little Miss, you're amazing. So I've got nothing else to add to this, but I'm going to give it back to Joe, see if Joe does.
I do have one more thing.
Sweet.
I'm gonna blow your mind.
Please do.
Because I remember when this occurred to me and it blew my mind. In fact, Ryan was the one who pointed this out. So I'm going to give some of Ryan's wisdom to you from my perspective, because it was
good. I want to hear what I said that you took completely wrong, but made it way better. So no, I'm just kidding.
So maybe you're like me, Little Miss, and in the sense that, I mean, it sounds like you have tendencies like me that's like perfectionist. I want to do things right. I want to say things right. I want to be right. Like, it's very important to me to be right and to do things correctly and is the best possible way, right? This has always been the way that I am ever since I was little kid. I always got really good grades in elementary school. Everybody thought I was this like super, I was just afraid of getting things wrong. Like, so I would do whatever I could to make sure that I was right on everything that I possibly could be. And it was probably not that healthy to be around me, but whatever. But yes, a perfectionist. You're a protectionist?
A protectionist is different.
I thought it said perfectionist. I'm like, yeah, I'm a perfectionist. Oh, a protectionist. Okay.
Either way,
that's cool too.
All good.
But perfectionist squad. Yes. So here's the interesting thing, right? I remember talking to Ryan. He had just finished a song and he sent it over and he's like, hey, listen to this. And I listened to it and I called him back, or I, let him know. I was like, okay. I think actually it was after he might have released it already.
Yeah, I think I already released it.
You already released it. Oh, so Ryan knows what I'm going to talk about here.
Mm-hmm.
This is good. Maybe I don't know if you've heard this before or not, but it's always good to be reminded. It's always better to be reminded than it is to be instructed, I guess. Right. Is the phrase. But anyway, I said to Ryan, I was like, okay, it sounds amazing. But did you notice in this one little part, it sounds like you had a little bit too much compression on the cymbals, and there's some stuff going on. A little bit, there's a little bit of weirdness in here. And so I was kind of picking it apart and being my perfectionist little nerdy self, right? And Ryan nods his head, like, yes, you were.
No, I wasn't upset at all. I was glad that you did.
But at any rate, so I told Ryan about this, and he's like, oh yeah, I heard that too. And I figured I'd just leave it there, because that way, if somebody listens to it and they know and they point it out, it will give them a chance to have some self-esteem, because they were smart enough to point out an error in my production value here. And that blew my mind, because I was like, wait a second. Everything I always thought about was I needed to be right. I needed to be correct. I wasn't going to ever release anything unless it was perfect. And here Ryan is deliberately putting something out that he knows is not perfect, because if somebody listens to it and they hear that flaw and they point it out, it's going to make them feel important. And it's going to help them in their life journey. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was just blown away by this. And so when I read your post about saying the right thing and always and wanting to do the right thing, say the right thing, I think from the beginning of your post, you said you want to help people. That's like the overarching thing for this thing, right? It's like you want to help people. One of the greatest ways you can help people is by helping them boost their self-esteem. And if you are wrong about something and you allow another person to correct you, and you can get good at saying things like, oh yeah, you know what? I guess I didn't know that as well as I thought. Thank you for setting me straight on that, or thank you for helping me understand that. If you can genuinely, get to that point. Now, it takes a little bit of humility to do this, and it takes a little bit, but you already have the love in your heart, little miss. So I think you're going to be just fine. But if you can get good at being wrong and allowing others to show you what's right, and then being thankful that somebody showed you the right way, you are going to be boosting other people's self-esteem all over the place, because you're going to be giving them an opportunity to be right. And that's going to be so powerfully helpful for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my goodness, when Ryan told me about that, when he was just like, he's like, yeah, I did that on purpose. I left it in there so somebody could show me, so somebody could point that out to me and feel important. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's genius. Because if the point is to help people's self-esteem and to help people out, what better way than allowing them a chance to correct you and you being okay with that correction?
Yeah,
right?
I learned eventually, like, as much as we always want to be right, especially when someone else is calling us wrong, or when we have a fault, it's so funny. Because if you make a big deal out of it, they will hold it over your head for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But if you just let it go and you're like, oh, yeah, I was wrong. Thank you. I appreciate you correcting me. Now that makes sense.
Yeah.
They forget about it in like they don't even remember the conversation ever even happened. Or even if they do, it's not a big deal. They won't ever bring it up. It does. So what I learned is you don't lose anything if you give someone else the opportunity to be right and you being wrong. You don't actually lose anything. You just gain. As long as you can take pride out of the scenario and just remove that pride and be like, you know what? I'm going to let them be right. And I'm going to learn from them. Or I'm going to let them be right. And I already knew that anyways. I don't care. Either way. Like, I figured it out after like they started trying to tell me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh well. I'm not going to argue it, right? If we just take away our pride and just let them be right, we don't lose anything.
But they gain.
They gain. Yeah, but they gain.
Because I gained in that situation. When I was pointing out to Ryan, I was like, I felt important because I picked up on something, and I was like, oh man, Ryan must have missed this. I don't know how I missed this. It's so obvious. Like
I remember when I was writing it, and I put it into the master, and then I heard it, and I was like, oh. And then I worked on it for like probably about 20 seconds, and I was like, if I really want to fix this, it's going to take a while. No, it's kind of all right. The way it sounds is like obvious, but at the same time, it's kind of a neat effect. Anybody will know what that effect is if they know audio. I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it. If someone comments about it, I'll be like, you are so right. I did leave that, And then I was just like, okay, done. Rather than working on it for like 5 hours, I'm just like, no, export, send it to YouTube. Because
it's another release.
Yep.
That and incidentally, that's one of the things that's beautiful about doing Double Cup of Joe show, because we do it 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So we don't even care if it's good or not because we're like, we're gonna have 4 more this week. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
Uh-huh.
we've
So
got
true.
we've got many chances to clean it up and get better. If we have a show that bombs or tanks or whatever, like if we totally sound like morons or who knows, like it doesn't matter because we're gonna do more. Like what
Mhm.
Ryan just did there when he pushed it to YouTube. He's like, that's one more. One more that's out there, move on to the next one, and I can get one more out there. Move on to the next one, I can get one more out there. And the more you do, the better they get over time. And so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's little flaws here and there. But it was so genius to be that person that's like, hey, I'm allowing myself to be corrected and welcoming that correction and like even though people may not remember the conversation because you were gracious about it, they'll remember how they felt.
Mhm.
They'll remember that they felt good being around you,
Right.
and that's what's important.
Yeah,
Way
absolutely.
more important than what you say.
If you can have the humility to allow other people to be right and you not know what you're talking about and just shutting up and be like, "Oh yeah, you're probably right." If you can do that for people, people will not only just love you, they'll feel better about themselves, which will help a ton with your
Mhm.
relationship with them and with their relationship with themselves. So it's important to, it's okay. Basically, what we're saying here, Little Miss, ultimately is it's okay not to know everything. It's
Mhm.
okay not to have the right words. It's
Mhm.
okay because, first of all, it's going to be okay in the end. You're going to get through it. They're going to get through
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Um, and second of all, when they learn or figure it out themselves and they're right, or you learn from them because they went through it and yeah, I mean, either way, it feels awesome. And so, yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, thank you, Little Miss. Uh, we hope that was helpful.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't really have a whole lot of advice, but a lot of encouragement. You're an incredible person. We are so happy you're here with us.
Mhm.
And yeah, so we definitely have time for another topic. So let's do it.
Yeah, let's
Um,
do.
so um, if anyone can make a bird noise in the chat
Make
after
a
I call
bird.
your name, is my preferred bird noise. It's kind of like,
Bless you, my child.
yeah, thank you. It's like that's what I sound like when I sneeze. So, yeah. This one's let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and read off the names, and we can if you're there. Oh, Prue. That's Prue. Caw Caw Arc Boo Riru. Very yeah, totally Akil. Caw Arc Boo Riru. I've heard those birds before. Yeah, they go boo roo riru. Boo roo riru. Bird noise. Well done, Hyrule. Little Miss. Yep.
Not a pirate noise.
Arr. Now here's a good and a good representation of a bird noise from Generally Scorched Toast. Any advice is good advice. I've heard that. I've heard birds say that. Yo, twee. Heard that one too. Snowlock, you've got me with this one. What? Ryuru. Ryuru. All right. So, guys, most of you I see making those beautiful bird noises aren't even in the list. So we're going to read the list now. And go ahead. Feel free. Bark to comment bird noise once I call your name. We've got Sumner Kagan, John Doe, Man Left Behind, Eric Bodine, Caffrey, Rain Knight. Technically, another one from Akil if we want. Swilk, Saigo. What up, Mamanet? Sherry, and Snowlock. So let's see what we can do. I think the first one here would have to be Swilk, right?
Yeah, I think that's the earliest one on the list.
And Swilk gave a nice, yep, I'm here. Bird noise.
Yep.
Which I assume sounds like Prue Prue. Yeah.
Ooh, I've heard birds that say that.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah, they do. Okay, guys. We don't know the name of this bird. We never saw it, but we only imagine what it looked like. When I was in LA, myself and Rainey were staying in LA. We had this bird outside who was cawing in the morning, and we called it the screaming man bird because it was not cawing. We called it the screaming man bird because at first we were fairly certain that there was someone out on the basketball court, which was not like, it was a couple 100 feet away. There was a basketball court and people were playing. We were certain that someone on the basketball court kept on making this noise, but we eventually realized after dealing with it a couple days, this was not a person, it was a bird. And we just called it the screaming man bird. And if I remember correctly, it was like, ah! something like, ah! And I am not joking. It literally was like that. It was like, ah! 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 I'm like, what is going on out there? It's like, I'm looking out the window. Is everyone okay? This is, I never saw the bird. He was probably on top of the roof, but it was just, ah! Ah! It's incredible.
That's great.
So I'm sorry for the delay. I had to share that story. Here we've got one from Swook. The topic is first
ringtone.
Tippity steps. Oh my gosh. How do you get inspiration / motivation from your work? Okay. Interesting. First, Stippity Steps by Matt, also known as Swilk.
Yes.
Thank you for putting up with us in this Don't Worry Wednesday session. And my screaming man birds.
Screaming man bird.
So here it goes. This is how this one reads. From Swilk. I'm a storyteller. Why don't you tell me? Okay. Anyways,
He just did.
We should talk. Anyways, I'm a storyteller. You can call me a writer, an artist, a very amateur musician, and you wouldn't be wrong. But first and foremost, I'm a storyteller. After all, my main reason behind dabbling in so many forms of art is that they're great ways to tell stories. Want an appealing character? Making the character design look appealing can get you halfway there. Want to increase the emotional impact of a moment? Write a climactic song for that moment, etc., etc. You're so right. You're so right, Silk. One of my dreams is to one day make an animated movie or a video game where I could fully squeeze and streamline all of my creative outlets into one project and tell a truly great story. Right now, though, I'm merely taking the first step on a long and treacherous trek towards improving one of those outlets. A wide-eyed, innocent traveler with next to no experience in the field. A mere baby deer with, where is this metaphor going? Music. It's music. I want to become a better musician. The thing is, though, with this post, I don't really want any advice on becoming a good musician because I think I have a pretty good idea on how to. Practice, discipline, practice again. All of that boring stuff, you know. And I think I'm well equipped to handle any and all artist problems, TM. I think I might come across, since I already have experience dealing with those through improving my visual arts. So what am I asking? Well, looks like I've crossed paths with you as other wandering travelers, further along some metaphorical journeys than I am. And I want you to share your story now. Haha. Aha, bet you didn't see that one coming. You activated my trap card. You activated my trap card. What was it like for you? How did your first song turn out? What anecdotes what antidotes do
Anecdotes.
you, yeah, I know it's such a weird word, anecdotes do you have of learning to sing better? Insert another question here. The reason I want to hear this isn't that I need comforting about if everything I'm going through is normal or not. I know it is, but I don't know. I guess I'm looking for motivation and I'm genuinely interested in what you have to say. That being said, if you don't feel comfortable sharing something, you don't have to. Honestly, I'll be okay either way. It rhymed. Finally, leaving the wandering traveler shtick aside, I love you all. The streams and the community are a great source of comfort in this stagnant point of my life with the quarantine and all. And thank you for answering this in advance. Signed, Matt/Swilk.
Mm,
Thank you, Swilk. You're awesome,
thank
dude.
you. Yes.
We love you too. You're incredible.
Yes.
Oh, we're so happy you're with us. Whenever I see you, this sounds weird, but whenever I see you in the chat, my heart is filled with warmth, and I just am joyed to see you. I'm just like, yeah, sweet, we got Swilk. I like that guy. He's so cool. So I just want to let you know that. I'm being very honest when I say that. I experience joy when I see you. So, yeah. So this is great. You want us to tell you our stories, our journey to becoming, in a sense, storytellers ourselves, but also how we've gone through obtaining our talents, the struggles that we've had along the way, and how we kept going and pushing through with them. I think this is a great topic and one that honestly could go on for an entire stream.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure.
This could be the 24-hour stream.
Yeah,
You
this
ready?
could be the 24-hour stream you've just set up.
Buckle up.
Yeah, we need what's his name? I can't remember his name. Anyways, the bell rings and we go, that's the magic word! 24-hour stream! You know, whatever. You know who I'm talking about.
You need the screaming man bird.
Yeah, the screaming man bird.
Actually, it's Pee Wee Herman, I think.
Thank you, Pee Wee
Herman.
Secret
word.
Yeah, that's
you
the
just
secret
said the
word.
secret word.
And they all run around the couch. The couch is a living creature. Oh my gosh, the 90s. Anyways, so out of the 90s, at least maybe partly into the 90s, Joe, would you like to tell us a story?
I would. First, I want to tell you a little story about a guy named Swilk.
Nice. Go for it.
And his glorious feather.
Yes.
Go to the BSS .studio website, bss.studio, and go to Swilk's theme or the dark theme, and you will see the logo that Swilk designed for us. It's
the banner.
It's beautiful, and I'll tell you, you know, I have had. I'm sure the rest of the BSS staff on our conference calls are tired of me talking about the feather because I've got ideas for that feather.
No, like, we think it's great.
I love that feather. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like that. Like my eyes are always drawn to it. So
yeah, anyways, we want to take that feather and put it on things and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it would be really cool.
Yeah. So at any rate, just you've been forewarned. But anyway, no. So here's a person who's an incredible visual artist, and like everything's really classy and clean and just nice. You know, when you put stuff together, it's great. So anyway, I must commend you on that. And to find out you're a storyteller and a writer as well, that's incredible too. So it's very interesting, though. You threw the curveball on this topic, though.
Yeah, you did.
Because you're like, hey, I just want to hear how you guys got started. And it's like, oh my gosh. Wow. That's such a great question. And like Ryan said, we could talk forever. It's like, okay, for me to talk about getting started as a musician, you're basically like saying, hey, what's your life story?
Yeah.
Because
that's why, yeah.
For me personally, like when I was a kid, I don't even know. Some of my earliest memories, I had to be 5 or, you know, maybe 4 even. I don't even know if I was in elementary school yet. But I used to set up boxes in the garage, in my parents' garage, and I would go outside and I would find sticks. Like I would find just regular sticks from trees, right? And I'd try and find them that were kind of the similar length and weight and stuff, you know. And I would just set up boxes in the garage and I'd bang on them because I wanted to be a drummer. I always, you know, from the first time I ever saw somebody play a drum set, I knew I wanted to be a drummer. And so I would just be out there and I would just do that for hours, destroying boxes. And so that's kind of where things started. But then for one of your specifics, what was it like? I don't know. It was just kind of like I was just doing this because I just loved it and I lost all track of time when I was doing it. It was crazy. Like, I mean, we all have something like that, right? We all have something that we do, and like we just when we're in it, we don't even care about the rest of the world. It's just that's what we're doing. And it's great. First songs, you know, my first song sounded a lot like copies of other songs, I think, because they pretty much were. When I first started writing songs, it was on guitar. I had picked up the guitar by picking up a ukulele. I didn't have a guitar. My mom had a ukulele. It was a baritone ukulele, so the four strings on this ukulele are tuned like the highest four strings on a guitar. So it's like having kind of a partial guitar, right? So I could read guitar chords and I could put my fingers on the places when I discovered this. I was like, oh, it's just these four strings that are on this guitar, right? And I would, you know, and that's what I would play. And that's how I
Nice.
first started to play guitar. And I think when I started to realize that chord progressions in songs, a lot of them were similar and it was just like putting different chord progressions together and then putting different rhythms together in those chord progressions. I was like, wait a minute, that's all songwriting is, at least the instrumental part, you know, coming up with some kind of chord progression. I can do that. Because before that, I had always thought, okay, how do people write songs? That's crazy. Like, there's every song possible has to have already been written. Apparently not, because new ones come out all the time. And it's like they're coming out in increasing number all the time now. It's crazy. And so, but then when I discovered that unlocked a whole world, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I could write some songs here and this could be fun. So then I started playing with a group of guys. This fast forward a little bit to the end of high school. I was a senior in high school, and this is when I actually really started to write actual music with lyrics and songs and stuff like that. And I remember this first rehearsal where I introduced to this one song that I had written and I had worked on it and everything. And I was like, you know, we were practicing it. And I was like, okay. And I was kind of directing a little bit. I was like, okay, I want the drums to do this. I was playing guitar and singing, and I was like, I want lead guitar doing this and bass. You just hold that open E just this whole time, right? And I want to hear that. And so we were playing along, and then we got to the point where and I was like, and then stop. And then the words start, and we play and everything. And the very first time we nailed it, and I was so excited I couldn't even keep playing because it sounded like I was like, oh my gosh, we did it right. I can't believe it. And it sounded cool. It sounded cool in person and it sounded cool in my head before I ever heard it in person. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Um, so I remember that moment. It turned out pretty cool in my head. And this was like beginner's luck a little bit, but I'd already written some songs before that. And this song actually had other bands in the area covered that song. Like they would play that song too. So there's a little bit of local like minor success with that particular song. Like
Nice.
people liked
That's
it, and
cool.
so other bands would play it too. And I was like, hey, that's kind of nice. And then you go through times where a bunch of songs are kind of like garbage. You know, you have all these filler songs where it's like, that song kind of terrible. Terrible, terrible. And then every once in a while you have one that hits awesomely. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to stop before I keep going. That's kind of like the very introduction to the whole thing. But I gotta turn it over to Ryan because I want to hear him say some stuff. I gotta
Yeah,
hear his point
this
of view.
is tough, man, because we have like limited time, man. This is great. Um, I like that. There's some interesting things I didn't realize that you did in the ukulele. That was cool, and it's really ingenuitive to you take a different instrument that plays somewhat similar and you find like a certain type of it, and then you're like, you know what, this is like this instrument, and the so you ended up learning guitar by learning a different instrument. And yeah,
Mm,
that's kind of how music works a lot of times anyways. You get accustomed to recognizing patterns, spacings of notes, in your brain, and stuff like that. You can start to pick up different instruments you've never played before and start to sound like, a well-trained amateur within like an hour or less. And they're like, wow, you're really good. And it's like, well, I just picked it up. you know
mm.
I felt like these notes, like I know how to move my finger, and so I did, and it sounds good. It's like, wow, that's incredible. It's like, well, after you play for so long, it just becomes like a second language. So and I started, oh man, I think I started, so um when I was about 8 years old, my mom basically inherited a piano. It was an upright piano from my great grandma, great grandma Bach. Great grandma Bach is pretty much a saint. She died and miracles happened.
Mm.
Um, not joking. Um, so she's pretty much a saint, without being clarified or recognized as one here at the church. But we're just gonna say that, all right? So, um, anyways, we kind of inherited her piano, and I remember sitting in the house, and my mom took some time out of her very, very busy schedule. She had like 3 jobs or something. Um, and she sat me down and she was like, "Yeah, here, this is how you play Heart and Soul." And she took me, she was patient with me. She played it with me, and then eventually taught me how to like start using both hands, um, for Heart and Soul. Like that's the go-to piano piece that everybody knows. Do 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 do. That one. Um, so she taught me that one. Yeah, yeah. Joe's still going with it. You just started over. With another one. It's over and over and over and over and over. Okay, so um after that, she didn't teach me anything really. She kind of taught me a little bit, but not really much. So as I was sitting at the piano, I'm like, well, I got nothing else to do, so I'll just pluck away and plunk 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 plunk, and I'm like, okay, that actually sounded cool when I hit those 2 notes next to each other, and then I started playing around with chords. And I'm like, I hit those 3 notes at the same time, just like that other song I learned, and that sounds good. And then I learned like to play the Titanic song, the I don't know what it's called, but the song that's the theme for the movie Titanic.
Mm.
Um,
I know which song you're talking about, but I don't know the
yeah,
name of it.
yeah, it's got a weird name. That's why. Um, Heart Will Go On, something like that. Anyways,
Maybe.
and just playing around. E, 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 D, C, D, E, F, G, G, G. Yeah, that's it. So from there, I just started making my own music. Why? Because I had nothing better to do. I was like, I've got time. I'm sitting at the piano, and I like the sound of when I did this, and then I hit those 3 notes. So let's start making music. So I started writing my own songs when I was 8. Um, about a month or 2 after I started writing my own songs, a man showed up in our lives, and he was my stepdad, and he had a night shift. So during the days I couldn't play the piano, and during the nights I couldn't play the piano. So my piano career basically started and ended at the age of 8.
Mm.
At the age of 10, I got donated a keyboard that I could play in my room quietly. So then I picked it up again. Um, and when I got into middle school, I picked up the saxophone and started playing with that, all the way through middle school and high school. In high school, at the end of high school, around my last year, me and some guys got together and made a rock band.
Mm.
Um, and they were like, "Hey, we need some music," and I was like, "Let's make it," you know. And they're like, "Yeah, let's make our own songs." And so instead of playing other people's songs, a lot of times they liked playing other people's songs. I just wasn't a fan of it. I don't like doing that. I've never been a fan of it. I don't know why. I just don't like playing other people's songs. If I because if I've got the creativity to write music, I should be writing music with my time. I'm not learning other people's songs. That's the way I personally feel about it. Because I want to put more out into the world. So I wrote a song. They showed me a program called Tabit. I basically wrote the tabs that a guitar would play without ever having learned or played a guitar. And I still don't even know how to read tabs. So I created tablatures that would play MIDIs to represent what I expected to hear out of their guitars, their drum sets, and my piano, because I was not writing like visually. I was writing entirely audibly. So I'm like, okay, I need these series of notes. So click here. Nope. That's the note. Okay. That's the note. Okay. Okay, that's what I was going for. Okay, perfect. Now extend that out. Make those last. All right, cool. And I'm just doing this all by ear, and it's taken me not that long, but it's taken me a while, because I don't know how to read tabs. I'm just doing it all by ear. And so I'm creating these MIDI tracks, and they're listening to it, and they're like, yeah, this is really cool. You're actually really, really good at this. And I'm like, well, thank you. I had some experience, you know? And so we created a song and played it our first song at a talent show. We learned it, and we basically just played like heavy metal without any, vocals. So we just kind of went on stage and like thrashed around. I had
Which
like
is way fun.
yeah, which is a ton of fun. I had a 5-minute like keyboard solo. I mean, it was great. We had a lot of fun. And we were the only ones to have a standing ovation in our talent show when we were done. We didn't win the talent show,
It was
but
rigged.
we won everybody's hearts. So that's all that mattered. And so yeah, it was pretty great. So that's kind of how I started. That's just how it happened. I mean, it was like, yeah, I have this interest and I can do stuff here, so I'm going to do it. And then I learned to do it just by trying it, That's how I learned. I mean, at the time I was also learning 3D modeling. I also learned programming. I also learned drawing stuff, I learned all sorts of different talents throughout my life. And just like you, Swilk, are saying, I get to use them all when I produce a story. Um, you know, and so it's super cool. You just go through life and you experience things and you take opportunities and like you try your heart out on them and you learn and you get better at all sorts of different things. And then then you end up creating stories. You end up using all your talents for something. It's super cool. But yeah, hopefully that was satisfactory. I mean, it was kind of just like that's where I started. That's what I did. It wasn't until I met Joe years later after the talent show, right? Like I kind of just like at that point I was like I still made some music. I was making music in tablets. We never really played our band really stopped playing together, but I kept on making music in tablets. And then eventually I was with Joe one night in his car. Not night, it was the day. It was snowing. I was a
It was
snowstorm.
night.
Was it night?
Well, it was
No,
like
it was getting it was dusk.
5:30, so
It was coming down.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it was
It was
late in the
night
afternoon.
by the time we stopped listening to music, it was night. When we first started, it was actually the sun was out still.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just played a series of like the 4 or whatever songs that I had made in tablets, and they were all like power metal. But Joe liked them, and he was like, "This." He really encouraged me because he was just like, "This is so good. You have everything it takes to become an incredible musician. Obviously, the sound quality is not there because you're writing MIDI, and MIDI was not that evolved yet, guys. MIDI was actually really bad.
Yeah.
Now you
It
guys
was.
can write in MIDI, and it sounds like a real instrument. That was
Right.
not a thing when I started. Okay." Everything that was in MIDI, you'd hear a clarinet and it'd be like, doo, you know, and you're like, that doesn't sound like a clarinet. And like, you play a flute. Let's try the flute. And it's like, that sounds like the clarinet. You play, okay, let's try the guitar. Why does the guitar sound like the oboe? And none of it sounds like real instruments, you know? So anyways, it was bad, but it, even though it was bad quality, it allowed me to practice, and I could listen to it and imagine what it could be. Right? That's really a lot about what it was back in the day. You know, I would write these pieces and I would kind of just listen to it and hear these grainy, gross guitars. Like, that is not a guitar. This is not what a guitar sounds like. But I'm imagining it. I'm listening to it. I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's going to be awesome. Okay, so hold on. And then the drums will do that. And I could see this coming together. If this was real, like real sounds, this would sound amazing. And so I'm taking what I can do for now, and I'm just imagining. I'm putting it out there. Anybody else who would listen to it would be like, this sounds awful. What are you wasting your time doing this for? But anybody who had the ear to hear it, anybody who had the ear to hear the future, what could be, you know, and Joe did, you know, and I think that gave me a lot of encouragement. And a couple of years later, well, it wasn't even years, it's just like a year later, Joe and I sat down, we started talking, we're like, you know what, we should write music to inspire people. There's a lot of music out there that teaches people how to have terrible lives. There's a lot of people that talk about love all the time in songs, but it's not love, it's actually lust. Let's do that. But instead of talking about lust, let's actually talk about love. Instead of getting everybody down on this, terrible stuff, you know, and bad addictions because of songs and stuff. Let's teach people the wisdom that we've learned and point people in the right direction, the direction where they can maybe at least have a chance at happiness, instead of feeling bad all the time, you know. So Joe gave me that, and I was like, let's do it, and I ran with it, right? So that's kind of like my story.
Well, we realized something very powerful when we were having those conversations, you know, as we were talking and kind of formulating this after I'd already listened to what Ryan had done, and you know, we had decided we were going to work on some stuff together, and we were just having all these really great conversations about music. And one of the things that really just struck home was music is so powerful. There's something about the vibrations that we hear as music. I mean, it's important to most people when they hear music. There's music that people like, and it gets into their heart at a deeper level. And so what happens when there's a message accompanying music, when there's something verbal being said, those words actually penetrate deeper into us, into our hearts, because they are brought in with this vibration, this music that we experience along with them. And so those messages become way more powerful in our lives. And we started to notice that a lot of the messages that are out there in music these days, they're not all that positive. Even the ones that are like, they're you know, like, you hear all these ones, well, they're clean, they're safe for kids, you know, there's not a whole bunch of swear words in them, but there's messages that are like, you know, oh my gosh, my whole life depends on this one person, and if they ever break up with me, I'm gonna be dead. And it's like, seriously, come on, you know. And so like, we're talking about this, it's like, you know, we really, because we have musical ability, we really have a chance to impact lives. And I had a guitarist one time that told me, he's like, music is just a form of self-expression. Don't take it any further than that. I'm like, dude, music is powerful. I respect music so much more than just a form of self-expression. Now, it is a form of self-expression, but if you leave it just there, you're a loose cannon and you're shooting cannonballs all over the place, like pow, 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 pow. But if you can accompany something that actually empowers and uplifts people and teaches them truth and teaches them virtue, and helps them be secure in themselves and all that kind of stuff. Like if we can somehow marry that concept of a good message that empowers people along with music, we have a chance to penetrate deeply with that message. And so that kind of became a mission. And Ryan has taken that mission and made it shine in the Criminal Idol series. I cannot stress enough how much, like, if you just listen to those songs, there are messages you will not even really hear in the words, but you're going to feel them in your life after you get done listening to the song. Like, you'll hear the words and everything like that, but there are concepts embedded in those words that are going to make changes in you deep down. And so he's really, really taken the time to do this, and he's done so well. And I was like, man, dude, you're doing it. You're like right on, man. It's awesome. I love it because that's what he's done. And when the book comes out, you'll get to read a lot of the stuff that was going on in Ryan's mind as he was writing these songs, and it shows. Like when you actually read the book, you're gonna be like, oh yeah. I guess I didn't really notice all of that was going on, but I felt it as I was listening to the song. Excuse me. And that's the point. We found out we had something really powerful here with music, and yeah, we're just hoping that we can just expand and continue and grow. And it's like, now we're looking at making this into a media company where we've got all kinds of different media going on, different shows. And we did a Kickstarter where we've got a CD, a video series, a book, and plushies, and we're getting some experience in some of these areas. And it's like, where is next? What is next? And I'll tell you this, wherever next is going to require more than just us. And so, there are a lot of you that we've talked to and that we've, tried to figure out, hey, where can we find a spot where we're going to work together here? Because this is going to take more than just us. We've realized, just the current staff at BSS is not big enough to do all the things we need to accomplish and to make this happen. And we look at all of you in our community. We're like, there are so many people here with such wonderful hearts. And I'm sure they all have creative talents somewhere. And it's just a matter of figuring it out. It's a matter of getting to know these people. It's a matter of, that's one of the reasons I will spoil this now. But one of the reasons why we decided we would do so many more live streams on a weekly basis is to be in contact with all of you, because we want to get to know who you are. We hope that our content is helpful. We hope that what we're saying is beneficial to all of you guys, but really, this is for you, because we want to hang out with you. We want to get to know you, and we love you. So anyway, I've gone on. I'm so sorry. I've gone into visioning.
No, I think that's super important, because like, this is who I work with. This is Joe, right? He's inspired so much of me, Swoke, and what you got just now is a treat. Because it's true. I remember when he taught me, basically, like, look, there's all these people out there writing music, and they've got tons of talent, but they're just loose cannons firing, saying, oh, I've got this talent, I'm going to write about this, I'm going to write about that, with no real purpose, even though all these people are listening to it. And what they say has an effect. And so with that comes responsibility. There's all these people shooting out random songs that's not taking responsibility for the lives they're affecting.
In fact, even worse, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ryan, even worse than just not caring and whatever, they're designing it to play on Vice, because that's what people want to, that's what sells a lot. Right. And it creates addictions. Sorry.
People want to be pleased. People want pleasure. And so then they go to music, which is pleasing, and that music says, hey, go do this pleasure more. And then you go do that pleasure and it makes you feel like, okay, it basically reprograms your mind for failure ultimately. For a very, very dull life, unfortunately. Which is interesting because then they keep everyone else below them while they tell everybody all this, like, you guys are, it's almost like corrupt government, but it's not. Anyways, because it's not planned, it just happens.
Right.
It's not like they're conspiring against humanity. They just are acting on their own thoughts and vices, and they become famous doing it, and then everyone else kind of gets dragged into the mud through it.
Yeah.
It's not like on purpose. It just happens. I won't blame them. But Swilk, I'm pointing this at you, and I'm glad Joe shared that, because here's the thing. Whatever you do with your life, it matters. And it has an impact on a lot of people's lives. If you tell stories, make that story change their heart. Make that story ring. Let that story set them on a path of their own story that is good. Because if you can create all sorts of different content and it will be amazing. You can create content and it will be a joy and pleasure to read, to experience, to watch, right? You can create anything. But if you create something that will affect people's minds, it will affect their heart, you haven't just created a story. You haven't just created another piece of entertainment. I mean, you can look at this chat here, and I can tell you, I'm sure, and I don't mean to say I'm amazing, but you see this community and you see how they've been affected by Joe and my mission to uplift people's hearts, to make the world a better place, to change the culture for good. People here, I mean, I'm not trying in any way to boast myself up, but people will say, wow, your songs changed my life. You don't say that about a song that's entertaining. You say that about a song that has meaning, that has purpose, and that it tries to change people's lives. And that's far more important than a song. Having an effect on somebody's life is way more rewarding and way more important than just another song. I can create songs all day long, but if it doesn't have a message behind it, what's the point? Because it's just a song. But when I can change someone's life, that's infinitely valuable. And so, Swilk, you have that same ability and responsibility, because you get, as a story creator, as a story writer, you get the opportunity to change lives. So I hope that what Joe said does empower you and make you feel like, I want to write stories because I want to change people's lives.
In any type of creative endeavor, whether it's art or writing or music or anything like that, really what you do as an artist is you hold people in the palm of your hand. Depending on, I mean, because there are going to be people who are into what you're creating. And those people, you hold them emotionally in the palm of your hand, and you can tip them, and you can turn them, and you can squeeze them, and you can do whatever. You're like, whoa. And it's so important that your heart is in the right place, because
like
those are people. Yeah, exactly. If your heart's where Little Miss Fancy's heart is, no problems at all, because her heart is in such a wonderful spot. But yeah, like I remember learning this, like, you can learn all kinds of techniques and stuff on how to manipulate emotion, but if your heart's not in the right place, all you're going to do is damage.
Right.
And so what's really important is what's inside. And that's another reason why we want to do these, is because, I think it's important. It's important to fill people up with goodness. It's important to fill people up with love. And all of you guys in the chat do that so much more than we do. I mean, we're just up here talking, but I'm just
Yeah.
looking at all the hearts and all the smiley faces and all
Yeah.
the love going on. Like, you guys are doing this for each other in there. It's so amazing. Like, you got, wow. It's so humbling to be a part of this community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get to be on screen, you know, actually using my vocal cords, which is great. But like, I'm like, okay, really, the most amazing thing is to just be a part of you guys. I feel like I belong somewhere
Mm-hmm.
because of you. And it's so humbling to see all of you here. And I hope that you feel the same way. I hope that you feel like you belong here, because you do. We love you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope that this is the very beginning of like a decades long relationship. And we've seen people come and go and come back, and you know, some people, it's amazing. But I feel like I belong somewhere here, and I hope that you feel the same. So with that, that's I love you guys so much.
All sweethearts over here. Yeah, you too, Psycho. So with that, I don't think there's any really better note to end it on. We love you guys. And we know you love us too. We can totally feel it. You guys are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate you so much. So yeah. Thanks, Slope. So yeah. Thank you for joining us on another session of Don't Worry Wednesday.
Yeah, come back in 7.5 hours.
Yeah, we hope to see you and on Double Cup of Joe in 7.5 hours. We hope to see you on Friday for another Don't Fret Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we also hope to see you on Thursday for a stream for gaming too. I mean, we are live almost constantly with you guys. You have so many opportunities to be with us.
Yes,
So
yes.
Feel free to do that. But we should probably get going so that we can have energy to see you guys next time we see you.
Right. It's gonna be good.
Anyways, bye-bye. We love you guys.
Love you guys. Thanks for being here.
Blessings.
Bye-bye.